Strawberry Frappuccinos and a Black Leather Jacket, Chapter 11, Sweeter Than Fiction. Written and narrated by Eleanor Rose. Artwork provided by Marlene Bruus. Marinette? The young designer turned away from her mannequin dressed in purple to see her mother poking her head into the room. I need to run out for a moment. Would you look after the shop for me? Yeah, no problem, Mom. Marinette smiled, sticking a needle into the fabric so she wouldn't lose it. I'll be down in a moment. She went downstairs and grabbed an apron off a hook. It was unusual for her mother to go out in the evening by herself, but she didn't mind picking up an extra shift. She found her time in the store calming, surrounded by her papa's creations and the smell of home. Marinette! She had just walked through the employee entrance into the front of the store when she heard someone call her name. She looked up to be greeted by a smile fit for a model. Adrien! She squeaked, surprised by his unusual appearance. He was wearing a leather jacket similar to the ladybug design. It wasn't that he looked bad in it. Rather, he looked even more dashing than usual. Adrien didn't tend to wear rugged looks, but wow, did it look good on him. I figured that since you've tried so much of what I make, that I should try something of yours. He smiled sheepishly, running his hand through the back of his hair in embarrassment. Oh, you don't need to, I want to, he said. So what in here did you make? He walked around the bakery, peering into the glass displays. Well, today I made the macaroons, Marinette mumbled, shy from his words. What was that? Adrien turned away from the donut display to catch her eye. Macaroons! Marinette exclaimed, louder than she liked. Oh, these? He walked over to the pink and green cookies on display. They're pretty. Let's see. Key lime and strawberry flavors today? Close. Key lime and rose champagne. Ooh, fancy. Leftovers from a wedding order. So, will I get a little tipsy if I eat them? Adrien winked. No, silly. A batch of 20 only has 2 tablespoons of champagne each. Really? Who would have known? I'll take 2 of each, he said, pulling out his wallet. Oh, Adrien, don't worry about the money. Marinette, he sighed, making her blush at the sound of her name. I insist. She went behind the counter and picked out the best-looking macaroons for him and slid them into a bag, tying them up with a yellow ribbon, and went to the counter to meet Adrien. €8? He asked. Yeah, she whispered, watching him pull out a banknote. She took it and handed back €2 and the bag of macaroons. He immediately pulled the ribbon off and took a bite. Well, I'm not drunk yet, he joked, pausing a moment for effect. Don't be silly. Marinette glanced down at the ground, a smile on her face. Marinette, is this a friend of yours? She looked up to see her mother walking in, holding a package. Mom, welcome back. This is your mother? Adrien asked her. Yeah, she's the best. Pleased to meet you. Adrien walked over to the little woman and planted a kiss on each cheek. My name's Adrien. I work at the coffee shop around the corner. Oh, you're our local competition, she laughed. I guess this must make my daughter Juliet. I'm sorry? Mother! Marinette yelped, understanding the reference. You're excused, Marinette. Go have fun. her mother winked. Marinette took off her apron and hung it up, refusing to look Adrien in the eye.
So, what are your plans for the rest of the evening?
He asked. Oh, I don't know, Marinette sighed. I have a project to finish, so I'll probably stay in.
Really? Because I'm hitting up the bookstore and I'd love for you to join me. You seem like a book type of girl.
She was stunned at the sudden invitation. Of course she wanted to go with him, but his girlfriend's face flashed through her mind.
Come on,
he winked.
It'll be fun.
He grabbed her wrist and pulled her towards the door.
What do you say?
He leaned in to whisper in her ear.
Want to go on an adventure?
She looked at his hand wrapped around her wrist and up into his eyes. Okay, she whispered. It was just an innocent thing, right? They were just going to the bookstore together, as friends.
Great, let's go, Bluebell.
He opened the door and pulled her through, leading her to the curb. Adrien, is this... Marinette gasped.
Yup, don't tell Chloe though. If she knew I liked bikes, I'd never hear the end of it.
He sighed, handing her a helmet. Marinette stared at the motorcycle as Adrien got on. She had never ridden on one, let alone with a boy.
Are you coming?
He asked, turning his head to look at her over his shoulder.
Hop on.
Okay, Marinette said, carefully getting on the bike. She wrapped her arms around his waist and interlocked her fingers, trying not to squeeze him too tight. She was sure her mother was watching from the bakery window and would tell her father about it later.
I hope you're ready.
Adrien turned the key and kicked up the stand. She didn't mean to, but as they started moving, she found herself clinging to him closely. She was scared for the first few blocks, but as the shop windows flew by, she realized that she was having fun. She was riding a motorcycle in the Parisian afternoon sun with the guy she liked, and, for a moment, the world was perfect. It was just her and him and the smell of leather and her strawberry perfume. She didn't have to worry about jagged stone or Nino, or designs, or the big purchase coming up, or Adrien dating Chloe. Chloe. Marinette felt her stomach drop as she remembered that, as much of a dream as this felt like, Adrien was not hers to keep.
What's wrong, Bluebell?
Adrien shouted, feeling her grip on him slack.
Are you getting comfortable back there?
I shouldn't be here, she said.
What's that?
Adrien yelled. I shouldn't be here with you, she said a little louder.
Marinette, I can't hear you over the wind. You'll have to speak a little louder, or wait until the bookstore.
They rode on in silence, her bliss cut short by guilt. Part of her wondered if she should come clean to Adrien. Yeah, right.
And here we are,
Adrien said, parking the bike on the side of the road.
Have you been here before?
Marinette looked at the bookstore in front of her, a bit baffled. Adrien, this is a...
children's bookstore.
He finished her sentence.
Chantarlive has always been one of my favorite stores in all of Paris.
Wow, Marinette said, a bit surprised. It certainly wasn't what she was expecting, but it wasn't a bad surprise. What are you getting from here?
A gift for Nino.
Nino? What in here is for Nino?
Well...
Adrien turned to Marinette, grinning.
It's because he's such a big baby.
Marinette gasped before trying to fight off a laugh without success. He opened the door for her and led her to the back. You seem to know exactly what you're looking for, she said, looking around at the aisles of books covered in ducks and elephants.
Actually, no, not really.
Adrien sighed.
My high school friend, Marlene, just got her teaching license, and I wanted to get her a few picture books for the classroom.
Really? Marinette asked. How old will the students be?
5.
He rummaged through a bin of books, picking a couple up and putting them back down after glancing at them. Well, first of all, we're in the wrong section.
Huh?
Le Petit Prince? Chapter book. It's a good book for the kids to read on their own or for a teacher to read to them, but you're looking for picture books, right?
Yeah,
he shrugged, putting the book back where he found it. Excuse me, Marinette called out to a clerk. Where would I find picture books for a 4 or 5-year-old? The stranger pointed to an aisle in another room. How about we split up and each pick out 2 or 3? We can meet back up in 5 minutes? Marinette suggested.
Sounds great.
Adrien smiled, crouching down to look at a row of books. Marinette turned and walked away, getting lost in the colors that greeted her with each step. It was hard for her to choose just a few because there were so many that she loved, but she went back to Adrien after a few minutes of searching.
Done already?
Adrien asked, still looking for his share of books. Marinette noticed his hair and giggled. He had obviously been running his hands through it in thought and created a shaggy blonde mop. Yep, hold on a second, she said, cupping his face to turn his head towards her. She ran her fingers through his hair to restyle it, tucking strands behind his ears and fixing his bangs.
Oh, thank you,
Adrien said, waving her hand away and turning his head.
I think I have the books. Should we, compare?
He cleared his throat with a cough.
Yeah.
Marinette felt a blush creeping up her neck. She acted on impulse and hadn't realized she'd just fixed a 20-something-year-old man's hair like she was his mom on the first day of elementary school.
Yeah, we should. So, I have the Very Hungry Caterpillar and Corduroy.
Huh? Marinette hadn't heard about either of those books before.
You've never read these?
Adrien's eyes opened wide as she shook her head, no.
Well, I suppose they are American.
His voice trailed off as he rubbed his neck in thought. Well, I brought Tyranno le Terrible and... Marinette began.
Tyranno? I love that one!
Adrien exclaimed, cutting her off.
Yeah. It's pretty good, right? I mean, I like it. Hey, do you know what we should do?
He asked, a mischievous twinkle in his eye. What?
Follow me.
He winked and started walking away, gesturing her to follow. He led her to a small couch in the corner and sat down on it, patting the cushion beside him for her to sit down on. Adrien, what? Marinette was puzzled.
I'm going to read you my favorite children's books,
Adrien boasted, puffing out his chest.
You... what?
Come on, he said, opening the Very Hungry Caterpillar.
Just roll with it, Marinette.
Okay, Marinette whispered, pushing the thought of Chloe out of her head.
In the light of the moon, a little leg lay on a leaf,
Adrien began, changing his voice to have an American accent. Adrien! Marinette giggled.
What?
He tried to fight back a smile.
Marinette, you really shouldn't disrupt story time or I'll have to put you in a timeout.
He fought his mouth into a stern frown, making her giggles turn into laughter. Adrien was quite the storyteller. He raised and lowered his voice as the pages turned and made Marinette count the fruit on the page out loud. He would occasionally snap the book shut, causing her to jump and giggle at the unexpected noise.
He was a beautiful butterfly,
Adrien murmured, running his fingers over the last line of the book. He paused a moment, as though lost in thought before he closed it. I can see why you like it, Marinette whispered, her head inches away from his shoulder.
Hey now, you aren't falling asleep on me, are you?
Adrien nudged her.
What? No!
She snapped her head up and flew to the far end of the couch.
The more you deny it, the more I'll believe it, he smirked, stretching himself out on the newly available portion of the couch.
Whatever, Marinette laughed, hearing her phone ring from her back pocket.
Aren't you going to get that?
Adrien asked. He had turned himself so his back and head were on the couch, but his legs were dangling off.
Oh, yeah,
Marinette pulled out her phone. Oh no. It was Tiki. She had completely forgotten about the project. Hello? Marinette spoke timidly into her phone, knowing that Tiki was already in her bedroom.
Marinette, where are you?
I'm so sorry. I just lost track of time. I'll be there soon, okay? Marinette blushed, embarrassed that she messed up in front of Adrien.
Just hurry, okay? I can't do this without you.
She sighed and pressed the end call button on her phone.
I take it you need to go back, huh?
Adrien said, looking up at her from his position on the couch. Yeah, sorry to cut this short. I'll see you around, Adrien, Marinette sighed, grabbing her purse and standing up to leave.
Hey, wait!
He rolled off the couch and stood up.
Don't you need a ride?
He smirked as he held up the keys to his motorcycle. What? Oh, yeah, I guess so, yeah. Marinette blushed, forgetting she was more than a walk away from the bakery.
Let's go,
Adrien said, adjusting his jacket and sitting the books in a return bin. Wait, aren't you going to?
I can always come back for them, Marinette. But right now I need to get you back. I couldn't call myself a gentleman if I made you any later than you already are.
Marinette stifled a giggle at his comment.
What?
Adrien asked, turning back to look at her. Nah, just... Marinette smiled. You remind me of someone when you talk like that, especially in that jacket.
Let's go,
he said, turning around quickly. Marinette noticed that, for whatever reason, the tips of his ears were turning pink. She put on the helmet and wrapped herself around Adrien once they were outside. Feeling the breeze brush past and through her body, she pressed herself to his back and felt his broad shoulders through the leather. She watched the same store windows flash by, coated in twilight, and closed her eyes. The last 2 hours felt like a dream.
You aren't falling asleep on me, are you?
Adrien shouted over his shoulder. She raised her head a bit before setting it back down to let him know that she was fine. She felt his back wiggle as he laughed and realized the bakery was right around the corner, ending her magical evening.
And here we are, Bluebell.
Adrien kicked down the bike stand and waited for her to dismount first. Thanks, she murmured, pulling off the helmet and handing it back to him.
Anytime, Marinette.
He smiled, unconsciously reaching to realign her bangs. Mom! She brushed his hand aside when she saw her mother and father peering through the window.
Wait, what?
Adrien asked, confused at his new title.
No, not you!
Marinette blushed. I gotta go! Bye!
Hey, Wait,
He caught her by the arm as she turned to the bakery.
will I see you tomorrow?
What? Oh, sure? I guess. Marinette squeaked.
Great. I guess that means you have your answer ready then.
Wait, what? Nino. Adrien enunciated his friend's name like a doorbell.
He still doesn't know if you're going with him to Jagged Stone, and we work a shift together tomorrow.
Oh. Marinette felt her face turn red.
What did she think he meant? He was already dating someone.
I'll make sure to tell him then. She sighed.
All right, see you tomorrow, Marinette.
He put on the helmet and kicked up the stand. Marinette waved at him as he took off, dreading what was behind her. She walked into the bakery and glanced at her parents' faces. He seems nice, her mother said.
Didn't think you were into bikers,
her father added. Groaning, Marinette went upstairs to meet Tiki. As she reached the top, she paused for a moment to smile to herself. She could still smell the green apple shampoo he used if she closed her eyes. End of chapter. Keep listening for a sneak peek at next week's part. Chapter 12, Sneak Peek. Texts for 2. Enter Tiki. Also, a conversation between Marinette and Cat Noir? What?